Let's rank and rant about every sports book I've ever used. Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, and I've been betting full-time for about a year now and part-time for over 3 years, so I have had my time at a lot of sports books. Today we're going to talk about all of them. I have 11 plus a few extras on the docket for you. With each sportsbook, we're going to talk about promos, limits, the UI, and the sharpness of each of those. So if you don't know what any of those means, stay tuned. I will explain each of those and how they relate to every single sportsbook. We'll start with DraftKings, which I believe is one of the big three sportsbooks right now in the United States. As far as promos goes, I think they deserve an A. They have daily promos. A lot of them are based around insurances or profit boosts. They're fine. I do think DraftKings promos are okay. They're solid and they are consistent. So I'll give them an A there. As far as limits go, for a long time, limits did not exist on DraftKings. In fact, before the Draymond Green debacle about a year and a half ago, nobody had limits. And if you don't know about the Draymond Green debacle, it was when Klay Thompson was returning from an ACL injury, and they said that Draymond would start the game and be in there for the tip, and then he would sit the rest of the game. And so people got on and just slammed Draymond Green's unders to infinite proportions, added him to same game parlays. Like, it was nuts. And they lost a lot of money. And shortly after that, limits were established on this book. Harshest limits is what I have right now on DraftKings, and they are very much time-based. So if I wake up at 8 o'clock and I want to make a bet on a 7 p.m. basketball game, my limits are going to be smaller than if I wait till 6 o'clock. Obviously, the book does that to protect themselves. The closer it gets to tip, the more information they have, the more data, and so the line is going to be more accurate or more sharp. So I can win about $50 max on props and $100 max or a couple $100 max on main lines. One thing I will say is the promos often vary based on dollar amounts based on limits. So NBA Threes Day, for example, some people have a $50 limit, some people have a $25, some people have a $10. So also the same with different insurances and profit boosts. So the higher your promos are, the less limited your account typically is. As far as getting limited, I can make another video about how to get limited, even though you don't want to be. So how to avoid limits if that is something that is interesting or something that people want to learn about. As far as their UI goes, their user interface, how the app looks and functions, I like it. It's an A. It's one of the best for me. It can often be maybe a little slower than I would like, but overall it's very solid. And as far as sharpness goes, I think DraftKings is fairly sharp. People are going to debate sharpness and Pinnacle's the sharp. You got to look at Circuit. Those are the two beacons of sharpness. For domestic books, for popular United States books, DraftKings is pretty darn sharp in my opinion, and they are very quick to react to news and move lines based on information. So I would say they are one of the harder books to beat from personal experience, but nonetheless, that is DraftKings. Overall, a really solid book, and if you have it in your state, which I imagine you do, I would recommend it. Moving on to DraftKings counterpart, the second dog in the trio of sportsbooks dogs is FanDuel. As far as their promos goes, it's worse than DraftKings, and it is sad because FanDuel used to have the best promos. They used to have tons of bets where you could earn free bets, mixed with profit boost, mixed with creative. I mean, back in the day, there was something called UFC Method Insurance. It was the coolest promo probably that is no longer in existence, and you could bet on any fighter to win by submission, knockout, or decision, and as long as they won the fight, you got that bet back if it wasn't by the method you picked. It made UFC fight nights amazing. You could sit there and bet on every single fight. It was awesome, and it hasn't been around for a couple years now. My maxes, though, are very low on FanDuel promotions. They're about $5 to $10, and they've become very profit boost heavy, and often the profit boosts have to be applied to a parlay or a same-game parlay. Why do they do that? It's because it's the most negative EV bet for the sports bettor. So, hey, we're giving you this awesome, generous promo, but you have to use it on something that you're likely going to lose. That's why they do it. Limits on FanDuel are tier-based. What that means is I actually like this. I actually prefer this to some of the other sports books we'll talk about. DraftKings is kind of black or white. You either have pretty unlimited limits or you're at the harshest limits, FanDuel tiers it or scales it a little bit. There's 100% limits, 50, 22.5, 10, 5, and 1 as far as I can tell. I am right now at 10%, which is still very usable for me, and I fear that any day now I could get lower. I've also noticed that they do limit by market. I hit a bad line on college football this year, a line that was just off, and they punished me within an hour. Within an hour, I was 1% on college football props, games, lines, anything college football related, 1% limits. And it has not changed. Hopefully in 2024, this next year, they'll raise me back up. But they punished me for one bet that I made, one mistake that they made, I capitalized on. And if you want to find out what your limits are on FanDuel, log out of the app, go pick a random line. Okay, just pick a money line of a game and just hit a number a bunch. Hit 5, and it will pop up with a max wager. So let's say when you're logged out, the max wager is $100,000. Log back in, go back to that same line, and hit 5, and see what your max wager is. If it's $100,000 when you're logged in, you have 100% limits, meaning you can bet the market cap of any wager on the site. If it's 50,000, you're at 50%. If it's 10,000, you're at 10%, etc. So that's, you can check your limits. If you didn't know about that, I'm going to guess you're probably 100 or 50% limits. But if you know about that, you're probably where I am, about 10%. FanDuel is one of my favorite UIs. I think the app functions well. They constantly add updates, but not drastic updates that throw you off. They've got the pictures of the players now a lot of the time. So I really like the UI, and I've given it an A. And the sharpness of FanDuel is hotly debated among sports bettors, and it leaves a lot of room for discussion. I put a shrug. I would say that they are often slow to news, or they're a bit of an outlier. Sometimes they are off. That's the best way I can describe it, off on player props. A lot of books will be at a certain number, and FanDuel will be either lagging behind or they'll stick on another number. So it's almost like FanDuel has access to, I know they don't have access to different information. Like all of these books have the access to the same information, but FanDuel can just be a little weird on certain, especially player props. So, but a lot of people I know and trust say that FanDuel is actually fairly sharp on player props, and other books are, I don't know, just it's not going to kill you at the end of the day. If you're betting props, just line shop and try to find the best price. But be aware that FanDuel can be slow to news and may look a little different than other books. Caesars is the next book, and it's probably the third of the triple-headed sportsbook monster, although I have a personal vendetta against Caesars. I believe that their promos are solid, and I'm giving them an A because I think they have daily promos and they have a variety of promos. I have not used Caesars Sportsbook for over a year. Here's what happened. Back in the 2022 football season, about week 8, so this would be over a year ago, there was I believe a 49ers versus Saints game, and the spread should have been something like Niners minus 8.5, and they hung like a 49ers minus 2.5. Like it was drastically wrong, like a touchdown wrong. It was an error line, and I hit it, and I hit it hard. Okay, like astronomically, greedily, selfishly. My eyes were as big as my stomach hard. And after that, that was it. Okay, I was 7 stars, which is Caesar's highest rewards tier for VIP members. Like I had grinded towards 7 stars. I got a free trip to Vegas. I got free vacations, free cruises, $600 worth of food, like cream of the crop. And I hit one line, and I take full responsibility, and I understand now how drastically that can influence your lifespan at these books. And so screw you, Caesars. I do not use them anymore because I have 1% limits flat out across all things. Caesars is like FanDuel in that it is tier-based, but it's harder to find your tier number. You have to inspect element, and you have to go in and like find it in the coding. I'm not going to explain how to do it. It's quite complex. But the point is they do have tiers, and I am 1%, which means I can get maybe $100 on a main line and often about $10 on a player prop. It's not worth my time, so I do not use Caesars, their UI does continue to improve. It used to be pretty poor, but I've noticed from screenshots and things that it is improving. Sharpness, your guess is as good as mine. I don't truly know if they are that sharp. I know they used to be pretty soft and have the tendency to hang error lines, which got me limited. So be careful with that. MGM, baby. Couldn't tell you about their promos because I can't see them, because I don't have them, because I'm promo banned. I give their promos a C from what I remember. They used to run a daily same game parlay insurance up to $25. Miss one, get your money back. It was awesome. Fantastic promo. They got rid of it, obviously, because it was good. That's what happens with these books. It was historically the first book to ever limit me. So there you have it. This goes back a couple years. And I don't believe there's any tiers to their limiting. It is either unlimited or fully hardcore, harshest limits. They've also promo banned me. So I can get about $109 on a given main line, anywhere from 20 to 40 on a player prop. So I still keep a balance there. I still use it from time to time, but it's not a place that sees a lot of my action. Their UI is quite hilarious. You used it for 2-3 years, and I don't know if they've really changed anything. And it's very basic. It's very simple, but it still gets a C. Sharpness just gets a laughing face from me. MGM is notably slow and notably soft, which is why it is one of the first books that you will probably be limited on if you're not limited on any books right now if you're just starting out. It is very quick to limit bettors who play straight bets, who may play soft lines, who may, play a play from a plus EV betting ticker or something. MGM is going to get you. So be careful with them. I don't have any advice. I would hit them hard while I can and just accept that limits are going to come with MGM. Bet365 is a new one for my state. In fact, I had about a 2-week run with it before I had full limits on it. I kind of got unlucky with how I was limited. I'll talk about in a second. Their promos were good while they lasted. They had a profit boost or a chance to earn free bets every day that I had it. So that was awesome. But I've given it a C because once you're limited on the book, you can't play the promos anymore. So if we lived in a sports betting world where everything was unlimited all the time, the promos would get an A for me. That's not the case. Limits. Here's what happened to me. It was not long ago. It was probably a little over a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and there was a game where the Clippers were playing, and I had bet on the opposite team. I think they were maybe playing the Bucks, and I bet on the Bucks, and I also bet on James Harden points, okay? And I got so unlucky in terms of how this all set up because PG and Kawhi got ruled out of that game. So now my bet on the Bucks had insane closing line value. Like it was like minus 165 when I took it, and they closed at like minus 300 or something, right? Because the Clippers lost their two of their 3 best players. So it looked like to bet 365 probably I had inside information. I don't think they thought it that far, but black and white, they just saw I got good closing line value. I bet a 165 that tipped off in the 300s, right? That's insane. And then, not to mention, I had James Harden to get 20 points because that's what his line was in the morning when his 2 buddies were going to play. And then once they got ruled out, his line jumped to 25 points. So I got insane closing line value on James Harden points. So it just was kind of unlucky. All right. And I don't even think the James Harden bet won. I think it lost. I think he got a triple-double that game and didn't score 20. So the next day I wake up to a message. They let me know, hey, trading, conversation says you're done here. And now my bets are literally like $2 max. So I withdrew all of it. I'm done with it. Delete the app. Okay. UI is kind of weird. It feels outdated. It's a C. And I would say that they are slightly soft. But I think this is a good book, and if it was a book that would not limit, it would be a great book, but not the case. PrizePicks, I want to talk about not a traditional sports book. It is more of a DFS, daily fantasy, mixed with sports betting. They only offer player props, only over-under player props, and very rarely do they offer alternate lines. And I'll say that because they've added a new thing called Demons and Goblins, which give you an alternate line at a boosted or less boosted price. I don't do a lot on PrizePicks. they have two promos that they run weekly. They have Taco Tuesday, where they have different squares throughout the day, different player props that are offered at a discounted price, and they have Flex Friday, which every Friday you get a risk-free parlay, if you will. I only play PrizePicks when these two are offered. I don't think betting PrizePicks parlays is a good thing to do long term. Limits, I think, is possible, but it's pretty unlikely. I will say my Flex Friday has moved from a $20 max to a $5 max, which is unfortunate. I don't know why. I am up all time, and they probably see that I'm just betting the promotional thing, so that's why they've cut me out. But it is what it is. I don't much care. It's not super lucrative. It's more for fun and adds a little bit into my bankroll. The UI is okay. I give it a B. I like the app. It functions well. There's not much to add on there, so they can't really go wrong with it. As far as sharpness goes, I'm sure edges exist, and I know edges exist. Okay, different Twitter personalities have talked about the edges in especially golf plays that have now gotten nerfed, but it is all parlay based, so any edge you may have is kind of lessened by the fact that you have to parlay them. PrizePicks is okay. I would get it. I would do the sign-up code. I would do the bonus. I would play the tacos and the flex, but outside of that, I would not advise people to religiously play PrizePicks slips. ESPN Bet, formerly known as Barstool Sportsbooks, which I had horrible limits at, and then ESPN came out and they released all those limits, and it was awesome for like a week, and then I got limited again. But it was really awesome for a little bit. Promos, I would say, even when limited, is an A. Multiple, daily, consistent promos. They have a insurance every day. Miss one, get your bet back. They have first basket scorers, first hockey goal scorers. They have different creative promotions with, MLB opening days tomorrow. I know they have a special bet a parlay, get a $1 for every home run. I have nothing bad to say about ESPN Bet's promos. I think it's maybe the best right now of the sports books that I use. Their limiting is pretty aggressive, and it's also a tiered system. I'm at 1% because why not? Because that's where I am everywhere. And there are rumors of those limits being raised over time. So if you leave your account kind of dormant, you don't bet anything for 6 months, you come back, you may get it back. I haven't had luck with that. We'll see. My player props are about a $10 max. My main lines are about 100 or less. So not an app that I use to do a lot of betting, but it is an app I use daily to use promos on. Their UI is fine. It's manageable. I give it a B. And its sharpness, I think, is pretty soft. It's slow at times, and a lot of the times they don't react to news as fast, and they differ on some of their lines, especially like bench players in the NBA, they'll be off on. But I do think oftentimes when they are in line numerically with like a guy's assist prop, their juice is heavier. So not a book I would suggest anyone has as their main book for sports betting, but one I would suggest for getting in on some promos and risk-free action every day. Underdog is just PrizePicks light, PrizePicks with a different color scheme, but they have no promos. They may have a discounted square once or twice a week, and that's about it as far as I know. So I give it a D. Limits, possible but not likely. UI is a B. Again, edges may exist, but they're all parlay based. Again, also, I would get this app. I would do the sign-up offer. I would get your bonus bucks, and I would stick around for the discounts. But other than that, not something I would advise using. Hard Rock, sorry, I'm not in Iowa, but that's the photo that I chose. Hard Rock, even when I was not limited, Hard Rock didn't have many promos. I give it a D. I cannot honestly remember a promo that they offered. My time unlimited wasn't very long, but nonetheless, it wasn't very good. All or nothing when it comes to limits, as far as I can tell, it's not a tiered system like some of the others. And mine, kind of like ESPN Bet, I can win $10 on player props. I can win $100 on money line. So not very good. I'll keep them around often because they are very slow to news. And so there are times when you can capitalize on a stale line on Hard Rock. And, so that's what I use them for. Again, not a book I would necessarily suggest outside of an original sign-up offer. Fanatics is just PointsBet. PointsBet was in the running for a while. They actually were fantastic during, maybe it was the bubble, like the NBA bubble. They ran like a threes promo, which was just phenomenal a long time ago. I think that's what it was. Anyway, how the mighty have fallen. PointsBet used to be awesome, now is Fanatics. And when they carried over from PointsBet, my limits, my promo ban, all of that came with it. So I can't tell you if Fanatics has promos because I don't know. I do know that in March Madness, they offered a lot of profit boosts to some accounts. I did not get those. The limits are harsh. They're carried over from PointsBet. I don't even bother with it. I don't think the UI is very good. I've given it a C. But again, this is a book that's slow and typically has error lines. Not a great book. I've grouped these three together because they are all Cambi-based. Cambi is an odds provider. So Unibet, BetRivers, Ballybet, Firekeepers, maybe Golden Nugget, other books out there have the same lines, just a different interface. And that's what I'm showing you here. So Unibet, BetRivers, and Ballybet are all on Cambi odds. All of the numbers you get across these books are going to be the same. Promos are very hit and miss. BetRivers, I know, has had some promos in the past that were pretty solid, but now that I'm banned and promo banned, they don't offer me those. Ballybet, same thing. Unibet never really had a bunch of promos, and I think Unibet is going out of business within the next few months. So it is all or nothing with the limits. It seems as if you can bet all you want or you can't bet at all. And that's what it is. My player props are like $3.50. It's horrible. And they will promo ban you. I think this is some of the worst user interfaces that is offered. I think their UI is quite frankly pathetic. It's very basic. It's very clunky. It's not good. But again, as you can see, there's a trend. When books are slow and soft, they will limit and they will limit hard. So that's what you see with Cambi. Last thing I want to talk about are these 4 books that I didn't really feel is necessary to give a full disclosure about. Betway is just like DraftKings Lite. They will ban you quickly. They use the same odds provider as DraftKings. I didn't last very long on there before I got banned. WinBet was legal in my state for a while, but they sold out and are only now in 1 or 2 states. Also very slow, also would limit. SBK is quite frankly one of the weirdest books that I have. It is just bizarre. I don't even know how to explain it. It is a sports book, but it doesn't feel like a sports book. I often forget I have it. And then there's Fliff. Here's the deal. Part of me speaks from jealousy because Fliff has insane lines, insane value. But Fliff is a dangerous game. And again, I will speak from experience. So take what I'm saying partly as jealousy that I cannot use Fliff. I have been fully banned from Fliff. Like, email, you're done, okay? They are not regulated by anyone, okay? They are not technically a sports book. They do not answer to the Gaming Commission. So if anything goes wonky, the players are screwed, all right? Yes, you can get a lawyer. Yes, you can get into legal battles with them. But by and large, the ease of solving your problem with DraftKings versus Fliff is much more reasonable with DraftKings. So here's what happened with me and Fliff. I don't know why. I mean, I was hitting soft lines, et cetera, et cetera. I made some money off of them. They banned me. And they locked my account. And when they do that, I could not log in. They literally kicked me out. So at the time, I had $4,000 on my account, okay? And I could not retrieve it. Done, okay? I legitimately. And I emailed them, and their customer service is pathetic. Long story short, it took over 2 months, and me reaching out to ROI guy on Twitter, okay? Well, a very popular sports betting, personality in the field, and he had to blast them publicly for them to even respond. 2 months of having $4,000 I thought was gone, locked up on Fliff. And finally, they reached out to me, and we got it worked out. They were able to send a check to me, but I could still never log back into my account. I got my money, like it's all good, but I would just advise anyone to be careful with Fliff. They also will send a tax form to you, and I'm not going to have this be a tax lesson. Okay, pay your taxes, do what you have to do, talk to a professional, etc., etc. But a lot of people don't expect to get that form. And I will also say, while we're on the subject, if you're still here, I filed my taxes in 2022, and Fliff sent the form like early March. So, like, some people file their taxes early. Fliff, they didn't have an email chain letting me know it was coming. It just shows up in the mail. I owe like $800, whatever it was, right? I had to claim all my winnings. So then I had to amend my tax return to put Fliff on here because they sent a 1099 to the IRS and I didn't report it. So it's just be like, I don't know if the headache was worth it for me. And so I just advise people that they play a little different than some of these other books. So just be careful with Fliff. If you have any questions at all about any of these sports books, about limiting, about sports betting tips in general, anything at all, that's why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I make these videos. So let me know in the comments. I'll answer any questions you may have, and we'll see you on the next Green Means Go exclusive.